What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. I do apologize it took me a minute to get this video started. Obviously there was holidays and I had some things that got in the way that I couldn't move out the way. But now we're here, we're back, and we're now on to the pre-production phase. So pre-production is exactly what it sounds like. It is the pre-planning of your production or before production. This is where you start ironing out all the details of where you're gonna shoot, who you're gonna shoot with, who's gonna be your cast, who's gonna be your crew. So I have kind of started a little bit here on the template. First, I start with the title, which is EOD, and then I start with locations. This is the first thing I start with. Now, if you've got a crew, you might be able to delegate some of this work, especially when it comes to locations. So we are gonna go to final draft, and obviously, like I said, I went back and kind of fixed up the script, added some more stuff to it. But there's this really cool button up here in the Tools tab called Reports. And here you can come up with a bunch of different reports, but we're gonna click on Location Report. Now, this is just a feature in Final Draft. This is what I like to use, but you can also just write down the locations if you already know what you're going to need. So, for example here, and it says tutorial because the file is tutorial, but we know that the script title is EOD, so we're gonna ignore that. And if we look at this the location report, we will see that there's the memorial where there's two occurrences, as in there's two scenes where the memorial is there. And then we also have two scenes where an office is involved. In the memorial, we have two exterior shots, and then we have the office, which is an exterior and an interior. Now, this is where we broke our constraint, because if you remember, we'll go back to, I'll go ahead and close this, and we don't need to save it because we already know what we need. And I'm gonna go to the beat board, and if you check out our constraints, it says public locations only. Now, obviously, there's no office you can just go and publicly shoot at, as far as I know at least. So I'm gonna reach out to a couple friends, and I'll talk about that as well a little bit further into the video, but this is one of the few times I will break that constraint because I know that I can handle it. Now, if I wasn't able to handle it, I would find some other way. I would try and write around it, try and make the script make sense and do it in a public place. But for this tutorial, I want to show you guys how you can problem solve. So we know for our locations, we're gonna go to Google Maps here. It's no secret that I'm from Louisville, but this is Louisville, and we want to film at a memorial. We do know that there is a memorial that shows up. So we're gonna put memorial, and then we're going to pull the address to that. Now, this is a location that I've known about for a long time, and I've already scouted it. Now, Patriots Peace Memorial is a public place. This is a place where we don't need permission to film. Now, obviously it is an actual memorial, so whenever you're using public places, please make sure that you're respectful of these places. Don't leave trash, don't be super loud. We can go there with a simple setup, a tripod, a camera, like what I'm using right now. I'm probably gonna shoot the project using the same setup. And we have even a picture of it. And this is what Patriots Peace Memorial looks like. So we can go ahead and grab this address, and then we can put that in our notepad for the memorial. Now, for the office space, there's a couple different ways you can do this. Now, obviously, I have connections. There's people that I know. This is not going to be the ideal place for an office. This is going to be a mock-up, essentially. This is going to be something just to get this story across. It's not going to be something super big budget, something super accurate, just something to get the point across. So OHD Studios, Kentucky is where I'm going to be shooting that office scene, and then we can go back and add that to our locations report. And another thing that I wanted to do, I forgot, is actually put dates for whenever you want to shoot this. Now, let's say, for example, that I want to shoot this weekend. This is just to give you a timeline. Whenever you have a timeline, it helps you plan things out, and it helps you give people a reasonable idea of when to expect to shoot. So whenever we go to do a casting call, this will make a lot more sense. And we will go into casting calls, but let's first come up with a date. We go down here. We'll choose Friday the 16th because the studio is closed on Saturday and Sunday, so we're gonna choose Friday the 16th. Okay, so now we have our dates, we have our locations. Now let's go into casting. There's a couple different ways you can do casting, which is what we're gonna go to right now. There's a paid way and then there's a free way. Now the free way will allow you to network with people really easily. The paid way will be a lot easier and quicker, but you're gonna have less opportunity to network and get knowledge of your project out there. So let's kind of discuss the alternatives here. Yes, Facebook, I have pulled up Facebook. Some of you are probably gonna be like, isn't Facebook for old people? Well, not necessarily, especially when it comes to film. Facebook is actually my secret weapon when it comes to networking in film. Believe it or not, especially when it comes to local communities, almost everywhere in the US there's a Facebook group for the local community, oftentimes more than one. So me being based in Kentucky, there's Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, and all 3 states have Facebook groups. Some of them are combined for the tri-state area. So you can post in there and people from all 3 states will see. So there's a bunch of different places, such as Louisville Filmmaking Group. People will post headshots, people will post casting calls. Like for example, here's a casting call that I've posted for my feature film, Chris and Ash, that I'm working on. So this is just an example. And I would actually like to use this casting call as a template. And we are going to use this group amongst other groups as well. So we have the location as Louisville, Kentucky. The dates are gonna be 1/16/26. The project type is going to be short film. The project name is going to be EOD. And the description is going to say something along the lines of, after 9/11, a man whose friends passed away in Afghanistan becomes inspired to take their place, becoming an explosive ordnance removal technician in order to prevent what happened to their friends from happening again. And then roles, we're gonna put the name, let's see, what name did we put in the script? We put the name of Ian, I believe. So the character's name is Ian, so we're gonna go ahead and make sure to document that here. 21 through 25 years old, portrayed, and that's really the only thing that we need. We don't need any other specific details. This is a super basic role, not a lot of emotion being played here. It could have been anyone. So we're just gonna say 21 to 25 years old, portrayed, and that's about it. And then the rate, now this is if it's a paid project. Now for something like this, something that's super, super short, you might be able to get away with doing a free for IMDb kind of deal. Now, this is a deal that used to be common and is now increasingly being looked down upon. So you really want to be careful doing this. If you do it, I would only recommend doing it once or twice before you start paying people, because you don't want that reputation. People are going to think that you're trying to take advantage of others for film credits, and it could cause problems, especially if you're doing it locally this way. So what I suggest is, if it's your first film like we are emulating through this project, you can say free IMDb credit, food provided. And that's something that you should always do. You should always feed your cast and crew no matter what. That should be a default. So we are gonna go with unpaid, however, food is provided, and the shoot is not to exceed 4 hours. We have our casting call here, and we can put a note here to contact us about this role. Please send headshot to an email. So I'll put the business email, destinycreates@outlook.com. Now, I'm not going to sit here for the tutorial and go through every single group that I'm going to share it in, but there's a number of groups that you can look up. Just look up film groups and put your state or city name, and you might be able to find something. Now, that's the free way of doing it. Let's talk about a paid website. So you can use something like Backstage, for example. It's often used for production. So what you can do on this website is there's a subscription, I believe, and then you can pay to have casting calls promoted and whatnot. So you can make a casting call on this website. Link is down in the description below if you'd like that. And that way you can post your casting calls. And this is a paid service that a lot of people use, and it will help reduce some spam. If you use a service like Backstage, people are more incentivized to be committed to the project because it is a paid service and whatnot. But I believe for Backstage, you do have to pay your talent. Now, if it's something like this short film that we're doing, $50, $100 should be enough to get some people in your inbox, but it just depends on the area you're in. If you're in California, for example, this might be a lot easier to do and get people that are film students, especially in New York as well. People that are film students and whatnot, they would love more than likely to be on set. Now, we have talked about casting, so we're gonna go to our notepad and we're going to put cast, and we're gonna put Ian, TBD, and I'm gonna put Outlook for email and Messenger. And this will tell me to check for Outlook and Messenger for people to reach out and check over there for casting because it's not casted yet. So now that we have cast, let's talk about crew. Now, you're a solo filmmaker. This tutorial series is for a solo filmmaker, but let's say you've got a little bit of extra cash. Let's say you've got $250 or something like that, and you want to hire a boom op. This is something I'm going to stress to every single one of you. And I swear, if you take nothing else from my entire series, please take this. Do not mess up your sound. But because we're not going to need anyone to operate audio because it's going to be static shots, freeing up our hands to be able to handle audio ourselves, we can just assume we're going to basically do everything. But let's say that you have some extra cash. So you can use a website like Staff Me Up, which is a website I've used in the past to get work. I've actually gotten a decent amount of work on this website, and I want to kind of go over it. Now, the other websites and whatnot and this website, if you guys want me to make an in-depth video on how to use them, let me know down in the comment section below and I will do that. But for this project, we're going to be just kind of glancing over it. So as you can see, there's a bunch of different jobs here. Now let's say you wanted to find a boom operator, right? Well, you would post a job and you could look up boom, for example, and you'll see sound recordist, sound mixer, all these different things. So let's click on this one, for example, and they're looking for an experienced sound mixer with gear, and they're talking about how they want a boom mic and whatnot. Now, this is an example of what your listing would look like if you went to go post a job. And you can also look for specific people as well. But this is something that does require payment. As you can see, this is a paid platform. It is worth it in my opinion. It also does depend on your area. So right now, I'm not paying for this platform because in Louisville, the film work has dwindled down a lot. And it's basically word of mouth only. No one's posting on this website right now in Louisville, so it's just not worth it for me. But for example, in the summertime, whenever work starts coming back to Louisville, I might decide to resume my membership then. As for you guys, if you're in New York, California, Atlanta, if you're in any of the really big hotspots for film, then this is a must-have. Now let's talk about camera. So for camera department, we're gonna put details as to what gear we're gonna need. So actually, we're just gonna put gear here because we're gonna talk about the gear that we're gonna need and what we have access to. So I'm going to be using all of my personal gear, but everything that I'm doing can be done on an iPhone. Nowadays, smartphones are actually good enough to be able to shoot feature-length films, like 28 Days Later, I believe, was shot on an iPhone. A lot of these massive, big-budget movie productions are using iPhones nowadays, which is kind of wild. Now, I will say that while they're using iPhones, they are also heavily tricking them out and modifying the crap out of them with, $10,000 lenses, follow focus systems, the whole 9 yards. It's not just them holding an iPhone, but you could theoretically get away with just using an iPhone as is. For my purposes, I'm going to be using the equipment I have access to. If you are a student, I highly suggest reaching out to a rental house or a local studio production house and seeing if they will let you use some of their gear or if they'll give you discounted rates. But for my purposes, I'm going to be putting down my Zcam E.3 S6, which is what I'm shooting on right now. I'm going to be choosing the Helios 58mm and I'm gonna be choosing the Mirror 1V 37mm as well. Now that's gonna be camera department. Obviously, I'm gonna separate this and then have audio. I'm gonna be using the DJI Mic 1. We're gonna go ahead and plan for the Z-Cam E2C as a backup with the Rokinon 20mm lens and a DJI RS3. And don't forget the tripod for the E2S6. So we've got the cameras, we've got the audio, lighting we're not gonna need because it's all gonna be natural lighting. And that's pretty much all we need for this. So this right here is our pre-production. This is our plan. We have the dates, we have the locations, we've got the cast somewhat handled. We're waiting to hear back from people. Crew, not applicable, and we've got the gear. This is a very, very basic production plan. Now, we're not going into shot lists and stuff like that. We will go into shoot prep a little bit later on, which is going to be probably a very long video, even longer than this one. The goal of this entire series is to prepare you for your first production. This is to put you on a path of success and get you introduced and get you started in the industry. After watching this series, you should be able to go out there, have an idea, put it down on a beat board, make a first draft of a script, have successful pre-production, and have some kind of step-by-step plan to follow to be able to be successful. So that is the goal of this tutorial. It's not going to be perfect, but I do hope that you guys learn something from this, and I hope that you take it and go make great things with it. So that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe. I do apologize it took me so long to get it finished, but we're here and we are here to stay. Stay tuned for the next video. The next video is going to be about camera building, which is my personal favorite. So stay tuned, everybody. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time.